Hey greetings, welcome to Spark Genius Academy with Polite. So on this lesson, this is lesson number 2 on exponents. So on this lesson number 2, we're going to work on simplification. We're going to simplify the following expressions without using a calculator. Let's start with the first one. Let's say in an exam you are given negative 25 and this is to the power negative 2 and they need you to simplify this. So let's work on this step by step. Let's take it step by step. So one thing I need you to understand is that, remember, this negative tells you that the 25 is multiplied by 1, so we need to separate that negative and show it that this is minus 1 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 25 to the power negative 2. I think this is where the trick is, just to be able to know that the minus 1 is not part of 21 but the 25, but the minus 1 is multiplying 25 to the power negative 2. So when you have it like this, remember the laws of exponent. We discussed the laws of exponent and we said that if we have, let's quickly remind ourselves what we discussed on the laws of exponent. We said if we have x to the power negative n, so this is the law that we need to apply. If we have this, we can change this and write it as what? 1 over everything on the bottom without the sign. This is the law that I'm going to apply to work on this problem. So I'm going to leave the minus 1 on top. So this was the first step. So the second step, I'm going to leave the minus 1 on top. And now let's divide this by everything without the sign. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So now remember that, okay, we are done making the exponent positive. So the 25 to the power minus 2, we say it goes to the bottom and the sign of the exponent changes. So now look at this. When you punch 25 squared on your calculator, what do you get? We get 625. Then this is simplified. So this is 625. So when you have it like this, the problem is simplified. Right. So now let's work on the next one. Let's work on the next problem. So let's say that you are given minus, the same minus 25, but this time is to the power negative 1 over 2. So now if it is to the power a fraction, let's follow the steps to work on it. Remember, we follow the same steps. Number 1, we isolate the minus 1 to show that this 25 is multiplied by that minus 1. Now we're going to apply this law here. We're going to apply that law. Let's quickly work on that. So this will be, we leave the minus 1 on top. Okay, this is step number 1. This is step number 2. So we leave the minus 1 on top. Everything is divided by the 25 to the power minus 1 over 2. We need to make it as the positive exponent. So when we make it as the positive exponent, it's going to go down to the bottom. So the sign changes. So this will be 25 to the power 1 over 2. The sign changes to positive. Right. Okay, remember, now we need to bring that thing, that exponent. So remember that on the previous lesson, that's not even the spelling of remember. So remember, on the previous lesson we talked about the following. We said if I have x to the power 1 over 2, what is this equation equals to? What is this equation equals to? So the equation will be equals to, we said the 2 comes outside, then x to the power your numerator. So your numerator, the number on top on that fraction, becomes the exponent of whatever that you have inside the square root. But I said, let us not write the 2. Let's just leave this as x. So this will be the root of x. So this tells us that we can change that 25 to the power 1 over 2 and write it as, this will be minus 1 over the root of 25. Right, so if it's minus 1 over the root of 25, we know that the root of 25 is just 5. So this will be minus 1 over 5. Minus 1 over 5. Right, so, and let's work on the next one. Okay, so now let's continue working on this last problem of the lesson. No, not exactly last problem of the lesson, but for this, simplifying without using a calculator. So now this one, let's say I have negative 25. This time, everything, I need you to see the difference on all these questions that we are working on. So now I have something like this, minus 25, and this minus 25 this time is to the power minus 1 over 2. So now look at this. Everything is raised to an exponent. So first thing first, we always have to make what? We always have to make the exponent positive. So to make the exponent positive, we're going to write everything is going to be 1 over everything inside the bracket, which is negative 25, to the power what? 1 over 2. Remember the law, if I have x to the power minus n, this can be written as 1 over x to the n. So now that you are happy with that, let's continue working on this one. So now we need to, we know that if I have x to the power 1 over 2, this can be written as the root of x. So I need to write this as 1 over the root of negative 25. Look at this. We have the root of negative. So if you punch the root of negative in your calculator, it's going to give you an error. So what can we conclude about that? So we know that the root of a negative number is a non-real. Then you're going to conclude and tell your teacher that this is non-real. I hope this makes sense. I hope you are happy on how we worked on this one. So please always note that you cannot calculate. Let me put it here so that you can remember. You cannot calculate the root of a negative. You cannot calculate the root of a negative. So this tells you that if I give you the root of negative 9, this is non-real. If I give you 1 over the root of that minus 9, this is also non-real. Please make sure that you remember that. Make sure that you remember that. Okay, so now on the next one, let's make it more interesting. Let's work on this one. Let's say that we need to simplify. Okay, let's simplify negative 2 xy, but the y is to the power 3, and everything inside the bracket is raised to 3. So now we multiply this by 2x to the power minus 4, y to the power negative 9. So when you see this type of question in an exam, you are currently writing in an exam, and this is what you see on question 1 of algebra, please don't panic. Just apply what you know. Make sure that you apply what you know. So now, let's apply the laws of exponents to work on this one, and I'll keep on reminding you the laws of exponents that you need to remember. So when I have this type of a question, I need to, the most important thing is to write the minus 2 inside its own bracket. So what I'm going to do, I'll open the big bracket and I'll explain why. The minus 2, I'm going to put it inside the bracket, and then I'm just going to leave my x, y, 3 on like that. Okay, remember everything is to the power 3, right? So now if everything is to the power 3, I still have the 2x to the power minus 4, y to the power minus 9. Okay, so now the reason that we write the minus 2 inside its own bracket is for you to realize that everything here is to the power 1, and now this x is also to the power 1. So if a variable or a number doesn't have an exponent, just know that the exponent is to the power 1. If you understand that, get in. Okay, everything is good so far. Let's start by using the power or the exponent that says if I have x, which is to the power a, so all this power is raised to b. So if all the power is raised to b, what do we do to the exponent? We multiply the exponents. If you still remember that law, get in. So now this is, we need to take the 1 multiplied with the 3, the 1 multiplied with the 3 multiplied with the 3. So we need to multiply everything there by the 3. So what I'm trying to say, we're going to have minus 2, which is raised to the power 3 because it's 1 times 3. Then we're going to have the x, which is raised to the power 1 times 3 is 3. We're just multiplying all the exponents by that 3 outside. Then I'm going to have y, which is 3 times 3. That will give us 9. So now when we have it like this, we're going to multiply this by what? The 2x to the power minus 4 and y to the power negative 9. So let me right, so I think we understand that on what we were currently doing, each exponent in the bracket was multiplied by 3. We are happy about that, and now let's look at what we have. I'm just going to first simplify minus 2 to the power 3. I know that is minus 8. Right, that is minus 8. So now, since that is minus 8, look at this. I'm going to say to look if I have the same base. Do we have the same base? Are we multiplying any of the same base? Do we have any of the same base? Look at this. X to the power 3 is multiplied by x to the power minus 4. The base are the same and we are multiplying. So we can write this as x to the power 3. We need to add this. The base are the same, we add the exponent. So this will be plus into minus 4. So when we work this thing out, it's the same as 3 minus 4, which will give us negative 1. So this is x to the power negative 1. So I'm just going to write this here on my solution and say now I have x to the power minus 1. Then you check again, do you have any other bases that are the same? Yes, the y and the y. The bases are the same and we are multiplying. So this will be y to the power 9. We need to add that guy to minus 9. So it's the same as saying 9 minus 9, because when you multiply out the brackets with the positive, you get a negative. So this will be y to the power what? This will be y to the power 0. So where there's that, we can substitute that as y to the power 0. So this will be my y to the power 0. Okay. So now, what we're going to do is that we forgot to do something here, because remember, we still have these 2. We still have these 2 that we need to multiply with negative 8. So I'm just going to bring my 2 there. Let's say we still have the minus 2 and we need to multiply these 2 guys. So this will give us what? When we multiply the 2, what do you get? You get minus 16 x to the power minus 1 times y to the power 0. But now remember, we can't leave our answer as a negative exponent. And remember we said anything to the power 0, it's 1. So this will give me a minus 16x to the power minus 1 times 1, because y to the power 0 is 1. So I'm just going to finalize my equation up here and say, remember we said that the loss of exponent, if I have x to the power minus n, this will be 1 over x to the n. I will always remind you guys the loss of exponents because it's very important for you to remember them. Né? So now we said that the minus 16 will be, we're going to leave it on top, and on bottom we take this guy here. We take the x to the power minus 1. We take it and we put it on our bottom without the sign. So this will be x to the power 1. So this tells you that the answer is just minus 16 over x. And that's your answer. Minus 16 over x. Right, and that's it for this lesson. This is where we're going to stop for the lesson. This is where we're going to stop. Please make sure that you keep practicing on simplifying exponents and follow the laws. And that's it. If you enjoyed the lesson, make sure that you hit the subscription button so that you don't miss the next lesson. On the next lesson, we'll work more on simplification of exponents.